Hey, welcome to my basement. I'm just putting away stuff today. It's a Monday. It's been a busy number of weeks. Actually, last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was at a conference in the Minneapolis area, and I was able to hear an old friend speak. His name is Rob Ketterling, and he does wonderful work as a leader, as a pastor, and he was talking about leadership. And he shared a principle that just so has rung true for me. And I thought, I should talk to you folks about this a little bit. People say, how do you, raise your level? How do you get better at what you're doing? How do you, well, there's all kinds of things like practice, okay? But one thing that Rob said is this. Basically, if you want to move to a higher level, you need to connect yourself with people that are already at that level, because that will help you learn, what it takes to actually perform and present at that level. And so it made me think about a number of folks. One would be Arthur Pedler. I know I've talked about him before in the past, but he was an International Clown Hall of Fame inductee. He's from England. Just amazing performer, wonderful teacher. And in the early 90s, I was at the World Clown Association convention in Bognor Regis, England. And it was actually a joint convention with Clowns International. And I hadn't met most of these folks, but here I find myself in England. And Arthur did a show. He did a presentation, a performance as part of this convention. And it was a morning performance. And I was in awe. It was just fantastic. It was like, wow, I've never seen anybody do it like this. And it was amazing. Well, it ends up, it was like a day or two later, Janet Tucker says hello to Arthur, and I'm kind of walking by, and Janet says, hey, Randy, I want you to meet somebody. And she introduces me to Arthur Pedler. And I just, expressed how much I appreciated his performance, just how it just made me laugh, and I just enjoyed it so much, and it was brilliant. And he's very humble and meek and mild, and so, thank you very much. He's a gentleman. And it ended up that through the convention, then at times when I'd see him, if he was kind of alone, I would step over by him and, just be friendly. Be friendly. And we would talk about different things, and I still remember some of it. I could tell you about it. Let's not take the time. But before I left England to fly back to the United States, I just said, well, I hope to see you again sometime. And he said, I'm coming to the United States this summer. I'm going to be at the University of Wisconsin La Crosse Clown Camp, run by Richard Snowbird. Maybe I'll see you there. And I said, oh, well, I might be going to clown camp. I said, if there's anything I can do to help you, please let me know. And he paused for a moment, and he said, well, I'm flying into Chicago O'Hare, and I don't know how I'm going to get from Chicago to the clown camp, which is probably 4 or 5 hours away from there. Well, at that moment in time, I lived about an hour away from Chicago O'Hare, and I just said, I will pick you up. I will take you from the airport to La Crosse, Wisconsin. I can get you there and get you back. And he's like, oh, no, I would not expect that. I said, I would be honored. And that's what I ended up doing. He ended up staying overnight with us on the way in, and then we drove off to camp, spent time together at the camp. It was just the beginning of this incredible friendship. Now, the reason why I share this is I really think that if we would just choose to be friendly, that's a good start. Second thing, choose to be helpful. I mean, I would pick up Arthur's bags. I would carry his luggage for him. I would do whatever he needed just to try to be helpful. There's this saying, I don't know if you've ever heard it. It's this: you gain those you serve. You gain those you serve. And that just makes so much sense. You just step out of your way to try to be helpful. In 2000, 11. Yeah, I was at the World Clown Association convention in Winnipeg, Canada. There's this guy that went up on stage at the opening. He only had about 3 minutes up there, but he threw his hat out into the crowd. Somebody threw it back as he tried to land it on his head, and bam, he just wiped out on the floor, and it was hilarious. Great slapstick, and it's this guy called Eric Zander. I'd never met him, but yeah, former Ringling Clown, all that. And I would go and stop by his vendor table. He was teaching, selling stuff like a giant square knot, made out of rope, stuff like that. And we would talk a little bit. And finally, one day, I walked over to him at the conference. I just said, "Hey, Easy, I would love, if you would like, I would love to take you out for steak." He's like, "Whoa, you don't need to take me out for steak." And I said, "Okay, you choose what you would like to eat. And I would love to take you out for a meal. Just love to just spend a little time talking to you." And my son Ben and I took Easy out for a meal and paid the meal. Now, some folks go, "Well, is that necessary?" No, it's not necessary, which is why it's endearing, isn't it? Because, if somebody would say to you, "Hey, let me take you out for a nice meal," it shows that I valued him and valued his time. It's become a friendship. And I appreciate it so much. You gain those, you serve. And I know this, if I attach myself to quality people, it will help raise my level of quality. Just by being around them, I learned their mindset. I learned their technique. I learned how they think. I learned how they approach performance. And so I just want to encourage you, attach yourself to quality people. I don't mean hang on them. I mean serve them. And you'll gain a lot from it. I encourage you in that. It's made a world of difference in my entire career.